Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. And today we are going to be diving into AI. And let me tell you, things are getting shaken up out there. It seems like every day there's a new headline about some groundbreaking development or some company making huge moves. But what we're seeing now, it's not just about incremental progress. This feels different, like a real shift is happening in the entire AI landscape. And at the center of all this buzz is a company you might not have heard of until recently, DeepSeek. They're a Chinese AI startup that's been making some serious waves. I mean, serious waves. And we've got a whole stack of recent news articles here that are going to help us unpack just what DeepSeek is doing and why everybody's suddenly paying attention.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable what they've managed to accomplish, especially when you consider that they're going up against some of the biggest names in tech. We're talking Google, Microsoft, OpenAI. These are the heavy hitters in the AI world.
Yeah.
And yet, here comes DeepSeek, this relative newcomer. And they're not just competing, they're actually outperforming these giants in some areas.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, and they're doing it for a fraction of the cost. I mean, that's one of the things that's really caught everyone's attention, right? The fact that DeepSeek has been able to develop their AI model for a surprisingly low budget. Our sources here mention a figure of under $6 million for their R1 model.
Yeah, that number is pretty mind-blowing when you consider the billions that companies like OpenAI have poured into their projects.
It's a real David versus Goliath situation.
It is. Except David seems to have shown up with some seriously upgraded weaponry.
Right. And Goliath is definitely feeling the heat. I mean, just look at what happened when DeepSeek's success started making headlines. They actually dethroned ChatGPT as the most downloaded free app in the U.S. Apple App Store. That's a huge deal. ChatGPT has been the undisputed king for a while now.
Yeah, to knock him off the top spot like that is a major statement.
And the stock market definitely took notice. I mean, we saw some pretty significant swings.
Oh yeah, the market's definitely reacted.
The Nasdaq tumbled down 3.3%, and the S&P 500 wasn't far behind, dropping 1.8%.
Which tells you a lot about how investors are feeling. There's definitely some nervousness out there.
Yeah, because suddenly the playing field looks a lot different.
Right. If DeepSeek can achieve these kinds of results with such a low budget, it could mean that the barrier to entry in the AI market is a lot lower than everyone thought. And that could have huge implications for the current industry leaders.
Yeah, imagine if suddenly, instead of needing billions of dollars to develop a cutting-edge AI, you only needed a few million. That would completely change the game.
Exactly. And that's what has investors spooked. They're worried about what this means for the companies they've already invested in.
It's like the rules of the game have changed overnight.
In a way, yeah.
But it's not all doom and gloom on Wall Street, is it? I mean, the Dow Jones Industrial Average actually went up on the same day. Not by much, only 0.3%, but still, it's a gain.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and it really highlights how investors are reacting to this whole DeepSeek situation. It's not a mass exodus, it's more like a strategic realignment.
So instead of panicking and selling everything off,
they're shifting their money into what they see as safer bets.
More established sectors like consumer goods or healthcare.
It's a classic flight to safety move when there's uncertainty in the market.
Makes sense. When one part of the market feels shaky, you look for something more solid to hold on to. Speaking of shaky, though, DeepSeek themselves have been dealing with more than just market jitters, haven't they? I mean, our sources mentioned that they've been hit with some pretty intense cyberattacks.
Yeah, that adds another layer of intrigue to the whole story.
I mean, it definitely sounds like something out of a spy thriller.
It kind of does.
You've got this up-and-coming company suddenly making waves on the global stage.
And then, boom, they get hit with these large-scale malicious attacks, as they called them.
And they've had to limit user registrations as a result.
It's like someone's trying to slow them down or even shut them down completely.
The question is, who's behind it?
Right. And unfortunately, our sources don't give us a definitive answer.
But the timing is definitely suspicious. It's hard not to wonder if some of the bigger players in the AI world are feeling threatened by DeepSeek's sudden rise.
Yeah, if you're a company that's invested billions in developing your own AI, and then this newcomer comes along and starts doing things better and cheaper, well, it's understandable that you might feel a little bit nervous.
To put it mildly.
To put it mildly.
And then there's always the possibility of something even bigger at play, right? Like, what if it's not a rival company, but a nation-state actor?
Oh, yeah. You can't rule that out.
I mean, AI is becoming increasingly important on the geopolitical stage. Countries are realizing that dominance in AI could translate to a significant advantage in terms of economic power, military capabilities, all sorts of things.
Absolutely. And if a country sees DeepSeek as a threat to their own AI ambitions,
Well, let's just say they might be tempted to take some drastic measures to protect their interests.
It's definitely a possibility.
So yeah, it's a pretty wild situation all around. But let's try to step back from the intrigue and the cyber attacks for a moment and focus on what really started all of this. DeepSeek's R1 model. What is it about this model that's so special? Why is everyone making such a fuss about it?
Well, on a technical level, it's incredibly impressive. Our sources detail how DeepSeek's R1 model has really pushed the boundaries in several key areas, like it's exceeding expectations in terms of its ability to process information, learn from data, and generate creative outputs.
It's like it's operating on a whole other level.
It kind of is, and that's what's so exciting.
But it's not just about raw power, is it?
No, it's about how they achieve that power. DeepSeek has taken a very different approach to AI development compared to some of the bigger players.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, for one thing, they've been very open with their technology.
Oh, yeah. They decided to make the R1 model open source.
Which is a pretty bold move.
It is. I mean, most of the big AI companies are very protective of their algorithms and their code.
They see it as their intellectual property, their competitive advantage.
Right. They're not just going to give that away.
Exactly. But DeepSeek has taken the opposite approach. They're basically saying, here's our groundbreaking AI. Go ahead, use it, build on it.
And that's potentially a game changer.
It could be. It has the potential to democratize AI development in a way we've never seen before.
Instead of AI development being concentrated in the hands of a few powerful companies.
It could become much more accessible to a wider range of developers, researchers, entrepreneurs.
It's like opening the floodgates of innovation.
It kind of is, and that's why so many people are excited about DeepSeek.
Because it represents a different vision for the future of AI.
A vision that's more open, more collaborative, and potentially more beneficial for everyone.
So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, but I think we've laid a good foundation for understanding just how significant DeepSeek's arrival on the scene really is.
I agree.
They've shaken up the market, they've attracted some unwanted attention.
And they've sparked a conversation about the future of AI that's only going to get more intense in the coming months and years. And, you know, as we dig a little bit deeper into this DeepSeek story, it becomes clear that we're not just talking about a new company or a new technology. We're talking about something much bigger. This whole thing is really bringing the race towards something called artificial general intelligence, or AGI, into sharp focus.
AGI. Whoa, okay, hold on for a second. For those of us who aren't AI experts, could you maybe break down what exactly AGI is?
Sure. So AGI, artificial general intelligence, it's basically the idea of an AI that can perform any intellectual task that a human being can. Like, imagine an AI that can learn and solve problems across a wide range of disciplines, not just specialized tasks like we see with a lot of current AI systems.
So it's like an AI that can think like a human, but, like way faster and probably without getting distracted by cat videos on the internet.
Exactly. It's about creating an AI that has a level of general intelligence comparable to or even surpassing our own.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing. And a little bit scary, to be honest.
I know, right? It's a concept that's been around in science fiction for a long time. But now it feels like we're actually getting closer to making it a reality.
And DeepSeek's entry into the picture, with their low-cost, high-performance model, it's making people wonder if they've found a shortcut on the road to AGI, right?
That's exactly the question a lot of people are asking.
Like, if they can achieve these kinds of results with so much less investment, could that mean that AGI is closer than we thought?
It's definitely a possibility. Yeah. And it's one that has a lot of people excited, but also a bit apprehensive.
Yeah, I can see why. I mean, the potential applications of AGI are huge. Right?
Oh, yeah. It's potentially world-changing stuff.
Healthcare, education, finance, transportation, you name it.
AGI could revolutionize pretty much every aspect of our lives.
And you mentioned earlier that the AI market is projected to reach $1 trillion in revenue within a decade. If AGI becomes a reality, those numbers could just explode, right?
It's hard to even fathom the economic impact.
It's like trillions of dollars might just be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's really mind-boggling to think about.
But with all this talk about the potential benefits of AGI, it's important to remember that there are also potential downsides, right? Like, what are some of the risks that people are concerned about?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for job displacement.
Like, as AI systems become more and more capable, they could start taking over jobs that are currently done by humans.
Exactly. And that could have a huge impact on the economy and on society as a whole.
Yeah, it's not hard to imagine a scenario where millions of people are out of work because their jobs have been automated.
And then there are the ethical considerations.
Like, how do we ensure that AGI is developed and used responsibly?
That's a huge question.
How do we prevent unintended consequences?
Right. Like, what if an AGI system makes decisions that we don't understand or agree with? What if it starts acting in ways that are harmful to humans?
It's like we're opening Pandora's box.
In a way, yeah.
But we can't just ignore the potential benefits either, right?
No, absolutely not.
It's like we're standing at the edge of a new frontier,
Full of possibilities.
but also potential dangers.
It's a delicate balance.
And speaking of new frontiers, DeepSeek's Chinese origins add another layer of complexity to all of this, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we've already talked about how DeepSeek has kind of disrupted the existing AI landscape.
But their emergence has also placed them right in the middle of this, like, technological rivalry between the United States and China.
Yeah, it's like a new space race.
Exactly. But instead of rockets and satellites, it's algorithms and processing power that are competing for dominance.
And both countries see AI as being absolutely crucial to their future economic and military success.
So the stakes are incredibly high.
And the competition is only going to get more intense,
Yeah, it's like a global chess match.
with each side trying to anticipate the other's moves and stay one step ahead.
And DeepSeek has definitely thrown a wrench into the works.
Yeah, they've shaken things up in a big way.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fascinating to see how the US and China respond to their emergence.
One thing's for sure. The AI landscape is going to look very different in the years to come.
And speaking of the changing AI landscape, let's circle back to the impact that DeepSeek has had on specific companies. You mentioned earlier how companies like Nvidia, Broadcom, and AMD, these big players in the semiconductor industry, have seen their stock prices take a hit.
Yeah, their investors are definitely feeling some anxiety.
But our sources actually go into a bit more detail about how those specific companies have been affected, and it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, let's break it down a bit.
So Nvidia, for example, they specialize in graphics processing units, or GPUs, which are like the workhorses of AI training, right?
Right. GPUs are designed to handle the massive amounts of data and computation that are needed for AI systems to learn.
And Nvidia is like the king of GPUs.
They're the dominant player in the market.
But their stock price plummeted by like 16% when news of DeepSeek's success started circulating.
Yeah, that's a huge drop for a company of that size.
Yet it really shows how worried investors are about the potential for disruption.
Like, if DeepSeek can achieve similar results with less powerful and therefore less expensive hardware, it could mean that the demand for NVIDIA's high-end GPUs might start to decline.
And that would obviously hurt their bottom line.
It's all about supply and demand.
But then on the flip side, our sources also point out that even Apple, a company that's not typically associated with AI hardware, saw a little bump in their stock price.
That's an interesting twist.
It is, and it suggests that investors might be seeing Apple as a potential beneficiary of DeepSeek's success.
Like how so?
Well, think about it. Apple is known for its expertise in software and user experience, right?
They're masters at creating products that are intuitive and easy to use.
And if DeepSeek's open source model leads to a wider adoption of AI applications, Apple could be in a prime position to capitalize on that trend. Like, imagine them integrating these new AI capabilities into their existing products and services.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah. Like, imagine Siri suddenly becoming way smarter and more capable thanks to DeepSeek's technology.
Or imagine new AI-powered features being added to iPhones and Macs.
The possibilities are endless.
It's all about adapting and finding opportunities within this rapidly evolving landscape.
And being able to anticipate where the market is headed?
Exactly. But not everyone is going to come out ahead in this AI revolution, right?
Definitely not.
Like, our sources also mentioned Palantir, a data analytics firm that saw their stock drop by 6%.
Yeah, Palantir's business model relies heavily on providing AI-powered solutions to governments and corporations.
And if DeepSeek's open source model makes those kinds of solutions more accessible and affordable,
it could pose a real challenge to Palantir's market share.
So yeah, there are winners and losers emerging in this new AI landscape.
And it's going to be fascinating to watch how it all plays out.
It's like a giant game of chess,
with each move having unforeseen consequences.
and creating new opportunities for those who can anticipate the next play. I mean, it's wild to think that one company, this like startup, DeepSeek, has had such a ripple effect across all these different industries.
Yeah, it really highlights how interconnected everything is these days, especially in the tech world.
What happens in one corner of the tech world can have consequences that you wouldn't expect.
Absolutely. And I think for our listeners, one of the key takeaways here is that you got to be paying attention to those ripple effects.
Like DeepSeek isn't just about, I don't know, some new AI company. It's a signal that things are changing, that the old ways of doing things are being challenged.
The landscape of innovation is shifting.
So what should we be watching for?
I think one of the biggest things to keep an eye on is this whole open source approach that DeepSeek is pioneering.
Will it actually lead to a more democratic AI landscape? Will it empower a whole new generation of developers and entrepreneurs?
I think that's one of the big questions.
Yeah, it's like they've planted a seed and we're all waiting to see what kind of tree grows from it.
Exactly.
Will it be a towering oak that changes the whole forest?
Or will it be something smaller?
But maybe still significant in its own way.
Right. And another key takeaway is that companies and investors need to be adaptable.
The ones who thrive in this new era of AI are going to be the ones who can adjust quickly to new situations and, kind of like embrace new ways of thinking.
Yeah, we saw how investors reacted to DeepSeek. They started shifting their money into companies that they think are better positioned for the future.
So pay attention to those market shifts. They can tell you a lot about where things are headed.
Absolutely.
It's a good reminder that we're not just watching this tech revolution unfold. We're all participating in it in some way, whether we realize it or not.
Our choices as consumers, as investors, as citizens, they all have an impact.
And that brings us to, I think, the most important takeaway from all of this. We can't forget about the ethical side of AI.
Yeah, as AI becomes more powerful and more widespread, we need to be having serious conversations about its potential impact on society.
Both the good and the bad.
Exactly.
We have to ensure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
And doesn't just, exacerbate existing inequalities or create new ones.
These are tough questions, but we can't shy away from them.
The future of AI is being shaped right now.
And it's up to all of us to make sure that it's a future that we can all be proud of.
Well said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of DeepSeek and AI, I think it's safe to say that we're witnessing a truly historic moment.
I think so too.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. If a relatively small startup like DeepSeek can disrupt the status quo and send shockwaves through the global tech industry, what other groundbreaking innovations are out there waiting to be discovered?
And what role will each of us play in shaping this exciting and sometimes uncertain future?
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the depths of AI. We hope you've learned something new and, more importantly, that you've come away with a sense of wonder and curiosity about what the future holds. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.